ECSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download the
Check this out, we got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, the #1 sports information program in America, the Breakfast Bankroll, with your host, the sports broker, Jeff Dawson.
One, two, one, two, one, two. How about there, Scotty? There we go. OMG. Apologies. Let's bring him in. What's up, Scotty?
Hey, man. I was just going, hey, does Jeff know his audio is not working? Let me send him a text. It's all good, brother. It's Thursday, and, you just keep adding bets. That's all I keep doing.
With the Maction slowly taking it, running its course. I was watching the. I didn't watch any Maction, to be honest with you, last night. I was watching the UConn-Arizona game. Hats off to Arizona. They come into stores, and I thought that was an inflated number, as it was. And UConn was without Reed, and they were one of their up-and-coming freshmen. So it is what it is. And then following, doing a little eye this way and that way on the Alabama, I was going to say Purdue, Alabama-Illinois game. And the funny there is, last week, 10 days ago or so, Alabama hosted Purdue. And the line opened at 1. It went to 3, 3.5. The whole world was on Alabama, and Purdue won outright. No one loves Purdue. They're always good. But there's something about Purdue that everyone dislikes. And I just in the back of my mind, I'm like, here's Alabama, Illinois, 2 top 5 teams or top 5/7 in the world, in the country here, and that number started moving Illinois' way. I'm gonna be honest with you. I liked the Bama side yesterday, but I thought I'd get cute. And you want to hear cute? I had their team total over 88.5, and it took 2 free throws with 4 seconds left to get to 90. So I had a great day. ECSI VIPs finally hit a damn team total in hockey. First period over. Sam Houston, nice 4-2 night. How are you, Scotty?
Still trying to figure out the basketball. I was on Purdue. I was on the other side. I was on Illinois yesterday. I sent you the
Yes.
what I thought the analysis was spot on. I thought it was good. I thought that in the first half it worked out exactly like what it was supposed to, or at least what my analysis came out. You know, they were bigger. But you know, they hung around, and then you know they beat them in the second half. So anyway, I thought so. I'm looking at that a little bit, you know, more closely. That was the first bet I made off of it. I was testing it and doing a lot of stuff. That was the first bet I made off of it. You know, it went 1, 2. The games I ran through yesterday, the recommendations. It was 2 and 3. So you know, it's still a work in process. And you know, and the other part of that I have to remember, and that when you do this the way I do it, data matters. The more data you have, the more you can rely on it as well. So yeah, I think that you know, as this kind of continues on and stuff, I'll get a little better grip on exactly what I want to do there. But I have no questions about what I'm doing in football, like just none. So you know, I sent you the list of plays from last night, but Jesus, you know, I have access to some other stuff, and I'm looking at some of these other plays that people have put out, and I'm like, well, I didn't bet that one, I didn't bet that one, and then I'm sitting there going, I'm betting them, and I'm like, no, I'm betting them, and shit, I got 8 plays now, so now the common theme I think is don't pass up low bearing fruit, right? So what does that really mean? Well, you know, you've got some pretty good teams playing some pretty bad teams or some pretty average teams. The numbers suggest that the lines are I don't want to say soft, because this time of year, you know, the lines are pretty good, but the betting market isn't reacting to them maybe the way I think maybe they should. So, for example, Boise State plays Colorado State this week. Colorado State's a bottom 30 team in college football, and Boise State's pretty good. Boise State's going to be at home, and Boise State has to win this game. They have to win this game because they lost last week to San Diego State. So this is a big game. So you run through the numbers and you start looking at it and you go, well, Boise State's going to kill this team. You know, the Colorado State's on their backup quarterback. They've lost like 6 games in a row. I'm just doing it off memory. I can go back and dig in. But the point being is, this is low bearing fruit. You know, Colorado State has thrown in the towel. These are the last couple of games these teams are going to play, and it doesn't matter to them. So, and it's at Boise State. So they're only minus 16.5. They should win this game by, you know, 20, 30 points. So that becomes an immediate bet. And shame on me to a certain degree that I didn't really look at that before, because I picked up 2 bets this morning just by doing that. So what I did, just to give everybody an idea, I have access to all of the letters that get sent out, you know, the publications that, you know, people pay for, that you know, the what are they called, point wise and power sweep and power plays and the playbook and all of them. And some of them actually have breakdowns of they run it through a computer model and they project yards and points and different things. But I was looking at some of that. And I'm like, well, let me vet it, right? Meaning that, I take the information and I run through my program. And then my program says, yeah, what the hell are you doing, Scott? This is a no-brainer. You should be on this game. It doesn't mean it's the best game of the week. It just means it's a bet to make for the week. So anyway, point being is I found a couple of those, and I bet the NFL game tonight that I didn't think I was going to. So I bet that game. So shit, I made like 9 bets in the last, I don't know, from last night to this morning. I made some bets this morning and I made bets last night. And I'm like, holy crap, man, this is the way it goes. It is what it is. I'm going to shut my door. I got painters coming.
Okay. I'm going to give a shout out to Amber Holly. Thank you so much, hon. Have a great day. Go join the WagerWire community at WagerWire. Download the app as I started to say before I knew my mic was off at wagerwire.com. Graphs, odds, up to second. Amazing community. Be a part of it. Enjoy the rest of 2025. 2026 is going to be epic, I promise. Scotty, you talked about the NFL, Buffalo and Houston tonight. Which Buffalo team are we going to get? A number that they're saying opened at 2.5. Maybe that was a pre-CJ Stroud number. Josh has struggled in Houston. I mean, he couldn't struggle any worse than he did the other day in Miami a couple weekends ago. Up to 6 now in a 43.5. Was looking at some team totals. If you don't want to get into the spread and you think Buffalo's offense going to show up today, 24.5 juiced under -113. There is a -120 there. So you can get their team total over 24.5 at even money if you'd like. Houston's right now sitting at around 18.5 juiced under -134. David Mills will get the 1-2-3 start. Buffalo benching Keon Coleman again. Maybe he'll do some sideline dances there. Buffalo, a 1.5 behind the Patriots. And before I turn it back over to you guys, listen, here's my thought process on the AFC East and the Patriots. Currently, as it stands, Denver's the 1 seed. I think the Pats are the 2 seed and the Colts are the 3 seed, or something close to that. I think the Patriots will find a way to win this weekend. I truly do. At Cincinnati, I know the numbers skyrocketed to 8.5. There was some 9s. It's back to 7 with the hint that Joe Burrow's going to play. He hasn't practiced even on an 11 out of 11. I'm just saying, in my eyes, he's not going to play this week. We're going to see how close he gets on Thursday in Baltimore. He's getting close, guys. Then I think the Patriots come home Monday night and they host the Giants, 7-point favorites. I think they win. I think it's a Giants number right now. Bye week. Then they host the Bills. It's a must season on the line for the Bills. I think the Bills will find a way to win that game. Then they travel to Baltimore. Again, must win again for Baltimore. I think Baltimore will find a way to win. Patriots then go to New York Jets. They win. They host Miami. They win. And again, I think it's a 13-4 year. Where does that get them? 1, 2, or 3? I don't know. But that's just my thoughts here. My point is the sense of urgency is on the Buffalo side, is on the Ravens side. It's on the Chiefs side, and it's time where some of these teams either wake up or they'll be golfing in Aruba come January 1st, Scotty.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is, next week we got Turkey Day, so it's coming to the end. College football is right around the corner to be an end. Some of these teams aren't playing their last game. So, by the way, that Boise State game I was talking about, it's senior night for them. So, whatever. All this stuff matters. Or maybe it was San Diego State. I don't remember. I've just been doing all this kind of crazy stuff. Anyway, so tonight's game with this Houston and Buffalo, you get this mix up kind of weird stuff with Buffalo sometimes. But I don't think you can argue that Josh Allen is Josh Allen. I mean, he's the reason why that team goes. So I think the number might be a little bit too low, really, to be honest. At five, I got it at 5.5. I know it's 6. But the reason I say this is because Josh Allen's so good, and I read a stat, and here's the stat. The stat is for the second time in his career, Josh Allen had 3 touchdown runs and 3 touchdown passes in the same game. He's the only player in the NFL that's ever done that. Otto Graham did that once. So then what I do and how I do things is, obviously I look at the data, like what we see when I pull up the data for games on paper, right? Well, I have similar stuff, very similar stuff, more detailed stuff, to be honest, that comes to me from the NFL. And I really can't do a lot with it until usually after Thursday, because there's a guy named Sam Hoppin that sends me stuff, and I don't get his until later. So I use Sam Hoppin and a couple other guys. I forget what their name is. Taj, it's some weird name. Taj, whatever. Anyway, these guys send me the things, and their breakdowns on how one offense will play against the defense, how the defense plays against the offense. Well, just so everybody knows, instead of me going and writing a program that deciphers this information, because I tried, the reality becomes is if you use AI, and I use it, and I give it the reports, it runs it itself, and it gets projected yards and points and different things that comes out of it, and goes, hey, this is what you should do, and this is why you should do it, and these are good bets. And then the reason I tell you that is because there's a little bit of expertise in how you read that stuff and what you're supposed to do with it, and how it manufactures. So you can't just go and say, well, the offense for Houston is negative 0.2 EPA, and they rank 25th, and they're going to play the Buffalo defense, and it's XYZ EPA, and it ranks whatever, 19th. So there's more to it, right? So there's the breakdown of how the defense and the backs work, and how they do rushing. What's the success rates look like? What does the passing over expected look like? What's explosive plays look like? And then, how does the personnel match up? All of this stuff goes into this. So it's EPA, personnel usage, offensive identity, which means do they run motion? What kinds of type of offense are they have? The passing splits, whether it's a high or low, or and then you have blitz pressure, pass depth, short, intermediate, deep, and run direction. Whether it's inside, outside, versus a light box. So I got all that information. Plus, when Sam Hoppin sends me stuff, I got a whole bunch more. So I feed this into the computer. The computer reads all of that stuff, and then here's what it spits out, just to kind of give you an idea. So the Buffalo Bills game, right? So here's what I do. I go and say, hey, use this information that I'm giving you. I don't want all this other nonsense that you can get from all these other places, yards per play and all this other stuff. That's all old news now. So I tell it to use this information plus anything it thinks is necessary, because sometimes it'll put stuff out there, and it comes up with stuff, man, it's unbelievable sometimes what it comes up with, because it knows shit. So then I go, hey, look, CJ Stroud's not in this game. Davis Mills is going to be the quarterback. So then I go, use the data provided and anything you deem necessary, and provide me with your best and most complete analysis of this game. I want to know if I want to bet on it or not. So I want it given to me in terms of, how to bet the game as the end result, including a score. So the Buffalo game, it comes out and it says, this line opened, around 2.5, 3.5 prior to the announcement of CJ Stroud. Well, hell, how does it know that? Well, because it goes and finds all the information. So then CJ Stroud comes out. Now it's -6. I put in the total that I have on the line, which is 43.5. And it's saying most books are like, looks like some books are still at 44.5. So there's no weather to worry about in this game because obviously it's in Houston. It's, indoor park. CJ Stroud is definitely out. And Davis Mills is getting his next start. And then it says he's been mostly competent but not explosive. He's got 242 yards and 3 touchdowns and 1 interception. So it tells you a little bit. But he's played Jacksonville and Tennessee. That's who he's played. And then kind of tells you Buffalo is rolling. They're 7-3 coming off a 44-32 win against Tampa Bay where Josh Allen had 6 touchdowns. Houston is 5-5, but won the last 2 games ugly, low-scoring games with Mills, right? And all of that's the context of this game. So then I give it the stuff, and then it starts to go, okay, well, I see what you've given me in terms of information. This appears to be, EPA-based, numbers. So it comes back and it goes, hey, look, offensively, Buffalo's got a pretty big edge, even though there's a great defense that they're going to face. And then offense for Houston, Buffalo's got a slight edge in that spot. So if Buffalo's got an offensive edge against the best defense, and they've got a defensive edge against Houston's offense, okay, well that turns a light on for me and goes, this is not a good spot for Houston. So anyway, you start to bring it down. And then it comes back and it says key takeaways. Houston's defense is legitimately elite against the pass. They're number 1 against the pass drop back, and they've got good edge rushers, even though Anderson's banged up. Will Anderson. So they funnel everything to the run, and they dare you to beat them underneath or on the ground. Bills' offense is elite overall, but has been more run heavy lately. So they're using James Cook more often lately. Houston's offense with Mills is bottom 10 in almost every efficiency metric. They lean heavily on play action and motion, but with Stroud's arm talent, the mobility and explosiveness all disappears. So Buffalo's pass defense is in the top 5 in yards allowed and has been getting healthier. So, okay, so now we have a spot here now where we're saying, hey, look, this is a bottom 10 offense going against a pretty decent defense. We got a good offense going against a good defense. So then it says, here's how to see the game flow. Buffalo's going to pound the ball with James Cook early. He's probably Houston's pretty solid against the run, but not great. Buffalo's O-line has been excellent. Expect 120 to 150 rushing yards for Buffalo. Well, if they can run the ball that much, that's going to really open up the passing game for them. Houston will try to control the clock with short passes and runs. The Buffalo front 7 is very good against the run, and Mills will face pressure on 30% of his dropbacks. So they're going to blitz him. And then it says Josh Allen's playing at MVP level, even though he's going to be missing Kincaid. They think that he's going to be fine with this matchup because his legs in improvisation is going to impact how Houston's going to be able to defend him. Turnovers, Allen's been good and careful lately. And then what just happened there? Go back. I just lost my thing. Hold on. Anyway, let me go back to where I was. Here we go. There we go. And it comes back to, and it says turnovers has been good on Buffalo. Isn't a huge turnover forcing unit, so turnovers shouldn't matter too much as long as Josh Allen takes care of the ball. Final score prediction, Buffalo 27, Houston 16. Buffalo covers the 6 fairly comfortably in a 2-3 possession game. Houston scores a couple field goals, maybe one touchdown on a short field, but Mills won't be able to keep pace. And that's the point. The point is, think about what has to happen for Houston. Houston has to keep pace, and I don't think that's possible. I don't think the quarterback's possible. The style of offense they play, I don't think is possible. So I went ahead and I bet the game. I bet Buffalo minus the 5. I got it at 5.5. 6 is fine. There's no issue there. And I think that when you start to think about things from that perspective, you have to go and say, that makes a lot of sense, right? It's common sense that one of a backup quarterback is going to face an elite quarterback, an NFL MVP quality caliber guy, and he has to keep pace. Well, the defense can help, but it's a full 4-quarter game. I don't think that that's going to happen. I think the best way to handle this is to bet Buffalo. So that's what I did.
We shall see. Me and Scotty will be back tomorrow at 9:15ish for our Friday night in pocket plays. Scotty's in pocket plays for this week. Let me pull them up for you. And he does have some additions, but this is what we had hot off the press. Survey said Tennessee -4, Miami -17.5, Oregon. What the hell happened to Oregon?
It's +10 or -10 at plus. I got a plus number at that number, so that's why I put it on that way. I bet it at a plus number. So it's -10 plus 108.
-10 plus 108. Maryland +14. Washington -10.5. James Madison -13.5. That coach could be, by the way, on the move there. We'll keep an eye on that. Which game would you like to break down, sir?
We can do anything you like. I don't really care. I think there's a lot of people out there in our lanes that are going to, and I've seen it all over the place already, that like Florida. So let's break down the Tennessee-Florida game.
Tennessee, Florida. There we go.
I think it's a later game.
There you go, sir.
Well, the reason I say there's a lot of people, so there's a big trend in this game. The trend is that Tennessee's played at Florida, haven't beat them at Florida in like the last 10 times. It might not be quite 10, but it's reasonably close to that. Florida beats the crap out of Tennessee in Florida. And now you're going to tell me that, Tennessee's favored by 4 or 4.5 in this game. So that's where people are, in our lanes are going, hey, look, you got to ride with this trend and you got to go there. But let's break this down and then you tell me, right? So when you look at this game right away, EPA for Florida, they're 113th and they're negative EPA. And EPA for Tennessee is 61st. Yards per play. This is where you get a little bit of offensive look. Yards per play for them, they are 14th, and available yards, they're 27th, and success rates are good. So Florida's not good in any of those spots. So what ends up happening here is you can already start to see a little bit of separation in what's going on with Tennessee. Tennessee's got an elite offense and a terrible defense. It's kind of how it works. But on the back side of that, Florida's got a terrible offense. So when you break it down, you kind of look at it. And we'll just look at the bottom section there first for a second. Florida's offense against Tennessee's defense. Florida's offense, they are 126th, minus 18.18 EPA on offense against a actually better Tennessee defense. They are 89th. And then rushing offense, right? They're 63rd against the 117th ranked Tennessee Volunteers. So theoretically, their avenue to success is maybe run the ball a little bit and then maybe throw the ball off the run a little bit. We'll see how that works out for them. But because if you look at it from the perspective of EPA per drive, offensively, they rank 121, and the defense ranks 111. So theoretically, they're about even, and to a slight degree, on a drive per drive basis, Tennessee should be able to stop them on occasion, right? So they should be able to stop them some. And then on the other side of that, we all talked about, and I've talked about it. I think that the only thing that's held Florida in these games is their defense, and their defense has been good. Well, it overall ranks 73rd. That's not good. That's average at best. They rank 73rd, and they're going to face the 28th ranked offense. Okay, good luck with that. They're going to get theirs. They're going to score some points. So now you have the game sets up where you have a outmatched defense to an offense that can actually score points, and an offense on Florida that's going to face a defense on Tennessee that's sort of evenly matched. So they're going to get their stops. Well, so how many times does Florida have to stop Tennessee to actually cover the spread? Almost and or keep up with the scoring that Tennessee gets. And that's where things get out of hand, because the reality becomes is Tennessee's going to move the ball. They're going to score their points, whether they're field goals, whatever, doesn't matter. They're going to score. And now you got to figure out if Florida can actually match that. And if I look at it from another perspective in this game, where's that game at? Florida, Tennessee, Florida, right here. So Tennessee's quarterback ranks 21st in QBR, and Lagway's 67th. Big edge to the quarterback for Tennessee. Tennessee has the turnover edge, and Tennessee has a yards per point margin edge. Big. It's not small. 1.8 positive for Tennessee, minus 4.1 for Florida. That's inefficiency at its best. And you can see it, inefficiency at its best. If you look at, let's go here. If you look at look at the offense for Florida, and then look at third down success. Third down success, 122nd. That tells you they don't get first downs. They get stopped a lot. And I get it that, Tennessee doesn't stop many people on third down. But the point of it is the other side of the things that's going to matter in this game is look up like two more spots. Starting field position, Tennessee, 26th. And the offense for Florida, 116th. They got to go long ways to score. Tennessee's not used to, Tennessee's used to them having to go long ways. I think they stop them a lot. So I think that and then when I looked at the breakdown of the game from the AI, because I give it all this stuff, it comes back and the overview of this game is Josh Heupel's tempo offense is elite, right? They're getting 495 yards a game. Joey Aguilar has been a great quarterback. He's got 22 touchdowns and 3,000 yards passing already. And they have a balanced attack with a running back. And then Florida. So here's the thing you got to think about with Florida. Florida's 3-7. They've lost 3 straight games. Their quarterback has 13 interceptions. He's regressed amid injuries and pressure. Like if you can put pressure on the quarterback, he's in trouble. So they don't have anything to play for. They're already eliminated. They can't make it to a bowl game. So this is a thing where they just playing out the season. I get it; it's a home game and all the other stuff, and it's a rival with Tennessee, but it's not the same when you're not playing for SEC, championship or for a bowl game or for that kind of stuff. So it doesn't. There's not a lot there. And then when the breakdown, Tennessee. It's all Tennessee. So as it kind of comes down and you start to look at where the breakouts and this is the stuff I can't do that I was trying to do a program for, is I wanted a program that would take that data and then I could plug in the numbers, so to speak, and then based on what the numbers were and the formulas to calculate them, create the yardage and create this stuff. Well, there's a little more nuance to it than that. So that's why I don't run it that way. So I just let it run. So the matchup basically is Tennessee's offense. Heupel will exhaust the Florida defense that ranks outside the top 100 in success rate and gives up huge chunks of yards and big plays. Aguilar should carve up the secondary for Florida. And then on the other side, Lagway can take some plays with his legs. Come on, man. Hit the wrong button. But they have a lot of negative plays, big turnover margin, poor field position, and expect multiple short fields for the Vols. So in other words, they're going to turn the ball over, and they're going to have problems in the special teams getting the ball to where Tennessee's got to go the long way. So Tennessee's going to have short fields a lot. Special teams night game in the swamp's always chaotic. But you got an interim coach, injury-riddled Florida team, not going to have the usual juice. Tennessee's playing with seeding and for pride. So they're going to try to get in and do it. Look, Tennessee has strange ways to actually make the playoffs still. If other things happen above them, I mean, what are they ranked? They're not terribly out of it. But obviously they want to get a great bowl game too. So this is a big game for them. So it comes out 38-20. Tennessee 38-20. That's an onslaught, and you only have to cover 4. I'm all in, man. Like, I am all in. Tennessee is going to slaughter this team, and to be honest, I don't care if they win by 5. But the point being is, as long as this kind of goes the right flow. And I saw a report, and I told you this the other day. Todd Furman made this thing that said, "Hey, you need math, to be able to read the market and do different things, to understand what the percentages are to make these bets." Well, if you have the ability to actually break a game down this way, the way I'm showing you right this very second, I think you can bet this, and I think you can go head to head with those guys that think they're really smart about math and all that stuff, and you can go with it. I won the other day with Western Michigan, so my record by doing this year this way is 46-19. Okay, I'll put that against anybody. I don't care who it is. And I got to tell you guys that I am not in a spot here where I'm the most biggest genius in the world, but I've done the data stuff for a long time, and now I finally found a way to make the football stuff work. I've always found a way to make the baseball stuff work, but the football stuff I think is really going, and I'm trying to work on massaging out the basketball. So we'll see how it goes. But anyway, that I wanted to get into that because everything I'm seeing from a lot of places is, hey, you got to bet Florida. You got to bet Florida. You got to bet Florida. And I think you're a fool if you bet Florida.
Funny because I'm going to date myself here. Peyton Manning, one of the greats for the Tennessee Vols.
I remember that game.
4 times I bet that rat against Florida, and I'm 0-4, and Peyton still owes me a lot of money. He hasn't sent it to me. So, hey, Peyton, if you're listening, you way back. Remember the 4 times you played Florida and you went 0-4? I just want to thank you. You could hit my Venmo right now, and we will be square there. Again, I'm going to go back to Scotty's in-pocket plays, and there was some fat finger and fat thumb in here. Tennessee -4, Miami -17.5, Oregon -10 +108, Maryland +14 against Michigan, Washington -10.5, and James Madison -13.5. Me and Scotty will be back again tomorrow. We're going to do some more breakdowns there. Scotty, before we leave today, and wrap today's show up, let me go back here Let me pull up, and I know you're on Maryland. You like here next week. Ohio State currently 13.5 point favorites at Michigan. Um, we know the dominance of Ohio State this year. But the funny thing is, if Michigan cheats and Michigan shocks the world, the SEC will be very upset because Michigan will get in to the final 12 here. As where's my eyes here? God, these eyes are not working here.
Ohio
Uh,
State's a noon game.
no, I want to go over here. Here's
Oh.
your break down the Michigan Maryland game, Scotty.
All right, so there's a couple things here with this Michigan game, and I think let me get to my there we go. So I think the very first thing that you got to look at here is this is a road game for Michigan. It's a road game with Ohio State next. That's the thought. So if this is a road game with Ohio State next, certainly they're gonna have their mind on Maryland, but they're also having their mind on Ohio State. So this is not a full focused game for Michigan. So I'm just going to say that right away because that's part of this handicap. So secondly, then when you start to look at it, you go, well, Michigan's pretty good. They're number 11 in EPA. They're number 7 in yards per play. They're number 14. Or they're number 19 in available yards. The success rate is good. And Maryland, they're number 88 in EPA, 92 in yards per play. But here's Maryland when Maryland plays well, they do it through their defense. Their defense holds them in games. They have a freshman quarterback, just like what Michigan does. He's a great kid. He's a good quarterback, but he's a freshman, so he's learning how to do all this stuff, right? So he's inconsistent as hell, this kid. So when you start to look at offensively for Michigan, Michigan's passing offense, they ranked 60th. Rushing offense, they ranked 10th. So defensively for Maryland, they ranked 21st against the pass. So that means Michigan's going to run the ball. I don't think they're going to throw the ball. They're going to run the ball. So I don't think you can run the ball every minute, every down, kind of like what they do in the MAC. This isn't the MAC. You're not going to be able to run the ball every single down and convert first downs all the way down the field and score touchdowns. They might kick a couple field goals. So I think that they're going to stop them. And here's where you can see a little bit of that. On early downs EPA, look at the defense for Maryland. They ranked 19th. So that means they're getting a lot of second and third and longs. They're stopping the ball from being advanced on first down. That doesn't necessarily mean they're good at stopping them on second and third down, but that's what happens. Now, offensively for Maryland, they're 97th on pass, 131 rushing. They're not very good. And obviously Michigan's defense is pretty stout, right? They're 43rd against the run. They're 25th against the pass. They're great about available yards. They're good at first downs. So I think when you sit there and you go, so it's kind of a mismatch in terms of how is Maryland going to move the ball and what are they going to do? Well, there's a couple of notes here. Let me flip this back over to my other sheet, the Maryland-Michigan game. So yards per point margin. This is about efficiency and how good a team is based on, how many yards does it take to score points and defend points. Well, Michigan is plus 1.7. Oh, that's pretty good. There's not a lot of teams that are plus, but the plus 1.7 is pretty good. Well, Maryland is plus 0.8. So that margin is not very big. And usually if there's a 2-touchdown game like this, that margin is going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of 3 or 4 or 5. And this margin is not even 1. It's 0.9. So that's pretty close. And the Michigan quarterback has been decent. He's better than the kid at Maryland. But, how much better? Well, his QBR rank is 38th, 40th. And the QBR rank for Maryland is 90th. So he's better. Turnover margin, Maryland actually gets more turnovers than what Michigan does. 0.8 positive to 0.3 positive. So I think when you start to look at it from an ancillary perspective, the reality is that Michigan's not a team that's explosive and are going to blow this team out. If you look at who Michigan has played, and especially the last few games, let's go to Michigan. Michigan played Northwestern. Score was 24-22. Michigan played Purdue 21-16. Michigan played their rival, Michigan State. Michigan State's probably a lot like Maryland, and that game was 31-20. Michigan played Washington 24-27. Michigan got beat by USC. They played Wisconsin. It was 24-10. Where's all these 2 points? Where's these 14-point margins? They aren't there. So that's one thing to keep in mind, is that when Michigan wins, they don't really win by much margin. They will just win the game. I would suspect that that's what will happen here. They might win by 10. They might win by 13. I don't care as long as it's not 14. So the point is you've got a thing here, and let me pull it up where it comes back. And the predicted score in this game is Michigan 27-16. Michigan stays alive for the Big Ten title, and Maryland loses, enjoys another disappointing year. And the reality becomes is what we're thinking is that this is a 45. Oh, that's classic look ahead spot. It's senior day for Maryland. This is one of these spots, I think, where you've got a quarterback who's mobile too for Maryland. He can run. We're talking about, his name is Washington. His last name is Washington. He can give spark. Michigan's front's pretty good. Contained scrambles, low force. Terps rank 114, 3 and outs a lot. But you're going to see a Michigan game where they try to manage the game. They're not going to go out and try to blow this team away. So I think that gives Maryland the opportunity to stay within margin. And even if they're out of margin, say they're behind by 17 or something like that, they can go down, kick a field goal. They can go down and score a touchdown at the end of the game to backdoor cover. So I like Maryland to at least stay within 2 touchdowns in the game. 10 points, 11 points, something like that. And I think that works. It works for me. I don't bet a lot on underdogs. So, and it's not that I don't like them. I just don't feel like, I think there's low hanging fruit, man. I added San Diego State -12 and Boise State -16.5 just right before the show, because they're going to go kill these teams. I mean, kill them. They're going to win by 20, these teams. And you can get them -12 and -16.5, and they're going to cover 20 points. You might as well be like, holy crap, this is good. What's interesting is how it grades out. So the way that the AI does this, and I have it set up, so I'm like, look, I've done 20 games, maybe 25 games. I'm not going to give it 25 games. So I tell it, I want the top 10 best bets, and I want the reasonings why. So it goes in, puts them in there, and then it goes and says, this is a 4-star play, this is a 3-star play, this is a whatever star play, right? Whatever, it grades itself. And Tennessee, Miami are like 1 and 2. Well, Oregon got bumped up from being a lower play to a higher play because of the +108 number. You can bet Oregon -9.5, and it's like -116 or something like that. But I got them at -10 +108, and it's like, don't be betting that -9.5 shit. They're going to cover, 13, 14, 20 points, whatever. They're going to win this game. And I know they play USC, but they're saying, hey, it's going to win. So to use the 108, it's better. and then Washington, and then all of a sudden I'm like, how do you balance? Where do you put these games in? Well, that's where the Boise States and that's where the San Diego States and James Madison's kind of fit in. It's kind of right in as a regular sized bet. It's a good bet. It's not an elite bet. They're just good bets. You got to make good bets and you got to avoid bad bets. And, some of the stuff that didn't make the list this week was UConn minus 7.5. Didn't make it. It's on the list. Didn't make it. Missouri plus 7.5. BYU minus 2.5. Those things started on there, and then other things knocked them off. They didn't make it into the top. What I want to try to do is bet the top 5. I ended up betting now 8 games because I got other information and added some other stuff, and it graded out better than some other stuff. So whatever, it is what it is. That's what I bet.
Tomorrow, me and Scotty will be back around 9:15-ish. In pocket plays, break down some more games for the weekend as we get closer to Turkey Day.
Hey Jeff, I'm just so everybody knows, just so you know, I didn't talk to you about backstage. I won't be here tomorrow, so if you need me to break something down that you want me to break down today, I'll do it. I got a 9:00 cardiology appointment tomorrow.
Okay.
So.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. You just made my day because that was the backstage question. So, any questions, comments, concerns? You know where to find Scotty at Webby20MLB. Ask away. You can ask me away at EC Sports Invest. Me and Scotty will be back hopefully on Monday at around 9:15, 9:30. We'll do the weekend recap, re-entry Monday as we call it, see how the in-pocket plays did, what happened in the NFL, and of course in the NCAA. 11 a.m., God willing, Tyler Wyatt will be back from Odds Culture at Tyler Wyatt Bets to talk some NCAA football, and around 11:30, Matt Grissom at Grissom on X, and of course at NCAA Insiders to talk SEC football, maybe a little SEC basketball and his Arkansas Razorbacks, and of course the Westgate Supercard. For myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Invest, the one and only Mr. Scotty Webb at Webby20MLB. Shout out to the Wager Wire community as always. Guys, have a great day. Enjoy yourself. Enjoy Thirsty Thursday and stay tuned.